Hello, everyone. This is Mike from Real God Talk here. Happy Sunday. Please sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. This video is part 2 of our What is Truth series that I will be doing. This video is specifically pertaining to the philosophical approach of things regarding truth. Toward the end of the video, I'm going to segue into the next section regarding Christian thought through the lens of Scripture and Christianity as a whole. But right now, I just sort of want to set the foundation for what is truth in the secular landscape, maybe, and also some different religious views regarding what is truth, right? So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So delving into what is truth from a purely philosophical sense, I just thought a standard procedure would be just to, do a simple Google search as to what is truth, right? So what I came up with was truth. Truth or verity is the property of being in accord with fact or reality. In everyday language, it is typically ascribed to things that aim to represent reality or otherwise correspond to it, such as beliefs, propositions, and declarative sentences. Thus, truth involves both the quality of faithfulness, fidelity, loyalty, sincerity, veracity, and that of agreement with fact or reality. So there's a lot to unpack there, especially how facts are commonly accepted in this day and age. There are different aspects such as, relativism, absolutism. So before moving on to sort of the subsections and different sort of thoughts of the philosophical approach of truth and different schools of, truth, I think it's worthy to define what I deem by secular, right? What I deem by secular personally is anything that is not of direct religious doctrine or thought, right? So sort of a process of thought that is devoid of religious dogma, ideology, or teaching, right? Or influence, if you want to put it that way. Let's move on to the different schools of thought pertaining to truth. I encourage you, by the way, before I mention these, to do your own research. I don't claim to have all of the answers. I am just a believer in Jesus Christ and His Word, and I'm very knowledge hungry, if you will. But I encourage you just to do your own research on your own. Let's delve into it. So some of the different schools of thinking regarding truth being correspondence, coherence, pragmatic, constructivist, consensus, deflationary, performative, redundancy, philosophical skepticism, pluralist views. There's many more regarding that, and again, I encourage you just to Google all those terms and read them for yourself. There's a lot there, and I would honestly spend an eternity of making videos trying to explain all those schools of thought, but I think the moral of the story in explaining the diversity of schools of thought regarding truth is that the question of what is truth has been debated and talked about for hundreds, if not thousands of years. We're talking back to the ancient Greeks, way through the medieval ages, all the way up until the present day, even before the ancient Greeks. The concept of what is truth has been fought about and discussed for thousands of years. So I think it's just worthy to note that. Sort of moving on from the base bone of what is truth, I think it's worthy to note an atheist viewpoint regarding what is truth. And I think Nietzsche really sums it up quite well. Again, I'm not saying that all atheists agree with this viewpoint, but I think in the vast majority of time that I've seen an atheistic viewpoint regarding truth, besides amorality, specifically pertaining to what is truth and morality, I think that this viewpoint that I'm going to mention from Nietzsche is quite it sums it up quite well in a general sense. Nietzsche argues that truth is always filtered through individual perspectives and shaped by various interests and biases. On the genealogy of morality, he asserts, there are no facts, only interpretations. So that is a generally held atheist viewpoint that I think sums it up quite well. Another sort of way to encapsulate that sort of viewpoint is within the confines of moral relativity, right? So there are usually two schools of thought regarding the world of morality in what is truth, in that those two viewpoints are, like I said, moral relativism and moral absolutism, right? Moral relativism is essentially, as I stated, from Nietzsche, right? There are no facts, only interpretations, right? An individual is relative to that individual's experience, right? Who is he to say, who is the individual to say that there is an objective morality, right? It is very much an individualistic experience. Eliminating someone from existence, objectively wrong, right? Who is an individual to say that, right? If there are truly no facts and only interpretations, that definition of what is true in morality can change from individual to individual. I personally do not ascribe to that view. I ascribe to the view of moral absolutism, and that there is an ability for an individual to make an objective truth claim, right? There is a higher standard. There is a logos, if you will, if I'm being quite Greek with my speech. There is a logos that essentially an individual can follow that will lead to an objective state of being. It is possible, in my humble opinion, for there to be an objective reality and an absolute morality, an absolute truth. I think it is worthy to note, in many different world religions outside of Christianity, moral absolutism or objective truth, reality, is a widely held belief system, right? It is not the common consensus for moral relativism or relativistic truth to be relevant, right, in different religious beliefs. Getting into what are the different, sort of religious views of what is truth, let's actually start with Hinduism as to how they define what truth is. What I found is in Hinduism, truth is defined as unchangeable, that which has no distortion, that which is beyond distinctions of time, space, and person, that which pervades the universe in all its constancy. The human body, therefore, is not completely true, as it changes with time, for example. That is a Hindu perspective, rather, on what is truth and how it is defined. Moving on to Buddhism and some views of truth. In Buddhism, particularly in the Mahayana tradition, the notion of truth is often divided into the two truths doctrine, which consists of relative or conventional truth and ultimate truth. The former refers to truth that is based on common understanding among ordinary people and is accepted as a practical basis for communication of higher truths. Ultimate truth necessarily transcends logic in the sphere of ordinary experience and recognizes such phenomena as illusory. So, definitely slightly different from the Hindu sort of view, right? It's sort of acknowledges there to be a relative or conventional truth, but then there is an ultimate truth. So again, we sort of see a doctrine that promotes there being an absolute or a universal, right? Moving on to the monotheistic faiths, right, with Islam, right? One sort of doctrine that I was able to find in regards to truthfulness, right? Truthfulness and transparency are essential characteristics of an excellent personality and even a good Muslim. Islam commands us to follow the pathway of justice, which is guided by the absolute truth and nothing else than the truth. So again, a common theme of there being an absolute truth, and it's actually essential to being a good person, right? Some passages or a passage that I was able to find from the Quran. I enjoin you to be truthful, for truthfulness leads to righteousness, and righteousness leads to paradise. A man may continue to tell the truth and endeavor to be truthful until he is recorded with Allah as a speaker of truth. And beware of lying, for lying leads to wickedness, and wickedness leads to hell. A man may continue to tell lies and endeavor to tell lies until he is recorded with Allah as a liar. Okay. So that's a verse from the Quran, right? It talks about, you know, truthfulness being integral to a good person, and how lying leading to wickedness, and wickedness leading to hell, right? So it's really showing that being a truthful person, ascribing to the moral absolute of what is truth, what is right, what is universal, and not lying, what is, you know, opposite of the universal and the fact, the truth. That is a way that is not, you know, the way of Islam. It is not the way that leads to paradise, right? Again, leaning on the heavy of there is an absolute, there is a universal theme. Some Jewish thought in regards to what is the truth. What is true? What is fact? You know, one can read easily in Exodus 20, verses 2 through 17, Deuteronomy 5, 6 through 21, the ritual Decalogue of Exodus 34, verses 11 through 26, right? Quite simply, do not bear false witness, right? You know, that is in the Ten Commandments, right? And I think Jeremiah 10:10 sums up a Jewish view of what truth is quite well. But the eternal is truly God, a living God, the everlasting sovereign. At God's wrath, the earth quakes, and nations cannot endure such rage. So I think that there's an emphasis in Jewish thought regarding, you know, God being the ultimate truth, right? And, you know, there's a lot of parallels in Christianity regarding these things. So when we get into the next video talking about what is truth in the scriptures, right? What is truth in morality? What is truth in Christianity as a whole? I think, you know, that is when we will certainly see a more holistic view and a more rational, logical view of what truth is plainly, right? And I think that this is a great little segue into the next video. I have right here Nelson's Illustrated Bible Dictionary, right? And I just simply looked up the word truth in it, and I would just like to sort of share it with you all. Truth: conformity to fact or actuality, faithfulness to an original or to a standard. In the Old and New Testaments, truth is a fundamental moral and personal quality of God. God proclaimed that he is merciful and gracious, long-suffering, and abounding in goodness and truth. Exodus 34:6. That sort of illuminates more Jewish view of truth, but it's also, you know, Christian view as well. He is a God of truth without injustice. Deuteronomy 32:4. Furthermore, all of his paths are mercy and truth. Psalm 25:10. Frequently in the Psalms, God's mercy and his truth are joined together. Psalm 57:3, 89:14, 115:1. All of God's works, precepts, and judgments are done in righteousness and truth. Psalm 96:13, 111, verse 8. Truth is a moral and personal characteristic of God. He is the God of truth. The psalmist declared, "Your law is truth. All of your commandments are truth." and the entirety of your word is truth. Because of his perfect nature and will, God has to speak and act in truth. He cannot lie. Many scriptures regarding that: 1 Samuel 15:29, Hebrews 6:18, James 1:17 through 18. Jesus is the Word of God who became flesh, the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John 1:14. All Jesus said was true, because he told the truth he heard from God. John 8:40. He promised his disciples that he would send the Spirit of truth. John 14:17, 15:26, 16:13. A helper who would abide in Christians forever. John 14:16. Testify about Jesus. John 15:26. Guide Christians into all truth. John 16:13. And glorify Jesus. John 16:14. God is truth, the Spirit is truth, and Jesus is truth. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. John 14:6. Jesus and the revelation of the Spirit of truth gave through his apostles are the final, ultimate revelation and definition of truth about God, people, redemption, history, and the world. The law was given through Moses, but grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. John 1:17. So I think that really is a great segue and a finishing up of the Jewish view of what is truth, right? And it's a great segue into pointing to the Christian viewpoint as to what is truth, as found through the sacred scriptures. So yeah, in finishing up this video, again, my name is Mike from Real God Talk. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and share as well. The next video, we're going to be delving into the Christian viewpoint of what is truth, and delving into a lot of the scriptures that I read earlier on in the most previous video. So God bless, and have a wonderful day.